think I got my swagger back.
Dancing dirty. Yeah, yeah. You know me. Them hundos on me. She love my foreign.
This video is brought to you by CatBeast.com. Design your own custom snapbacks and hats.
What's up, Pack Nation? It is Pack here. These people don't know how to get the first pick in the draft. Why did the NBA not decide, let's just rig the draft for once? You know, money could be made for Zion going to the Knicks, but no. You failed me again. That's not what this video is about. What's up, Pack Nation? It's Pack here. Today, you saw the title of the video, 10 players that are doing bad in the playoffs but have high ratings in NBA 2K19. What I'm going to do is show you some stats, show you some opinions on how players are doing in the playoffs, or players that did play in the playoffs because they've already been eliminated. And I want to say what their ratings really should be, because there are players in the NBA that do great in the regular season and then suck in the postseason. I want to say thank you to CatBeast.com for sponsoring this video. You can check out the website and get really cool hat designs, so check out their website and thank you again. Also, before this video starts, be an OG, join the Pack Nation and subscribe. Let's get this video started. The first player on this list for this video at number 10, it is actually Steph Curry. Steph Curry is a 95 overall in NBA 2K19. Now you're thinking, what, Pack? Steph Curry's been balling. Literally last game against the Blazers, he just did really well, and the game before that when Kevin Durant went down, he played crazy and was able to get them past the second round, and now they're in the conference finals because of Steph Curry. However, before that, before Kevin Durant got injured, he was not playing like the best player on the team. Let's be real. In NBA 2K19, he has the same rating with Kevin Durant. They're both a 95 overall in the game. However, in the playoffs, he definitely looked like the second best player. Look, Kevin Durant looks much better than him in the playoffs. Not only that, even Klay Thompson kind of looks better than Curry sometimes in these playoffs. He has been disappearing sometimes, but I want to start these with the stats. So in the regular season, Steph Curry averaged 27 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and also 47% field goal percentage. Those are great numbers, and those are Steph Curry numbers. We know he can do that. But in the playoffs, he was only getting 24 points per game, 5 assists, 6 rebounds, and 44 field goal percentage. A little less field goal percentage and a little less scoring, but when you watch the game, you feel like sometimes he just disappears, and that's why I have him on this list at number 10. But in reality, I know he's good. That's why I only have him at number 10. At number 9 on this list, I have the better brother, Brook Lopez. So the only reason I have him all the way back to number 9 is because the Bucks are still winning even though he's been struggling. I wouldn't say struggling either. Let's talk about the stats. During the regular season, he was getting 13 points per game, 1 assist, 5 rebounds on 45% field goal percentage. But during the playoffs, 8 points per game, 1 assist, 5 rebounds, and 42% field goal percentage. So you're thinking, well, 5 points per game isn't that ridiculous. I mean, that's only about 2 baskets less on average. And plus, in the playoffs, your best players are going to shoot a lot more often. That's fine. Maybe I agree with you. Look, the biggest thing is his 3-point field goal percentage that has dropped off ridiculously. So bad that it's kind of a problem. The Bucks, let's look at the Bucks objectively, okay? You have Giannis, Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, Malcolm Brogdon, Nikola Mirotic. The only ones that are successfully shooting threes this entire season is Chris Middleton. That's it. That's your only player that has been doing really consistent three-point shooting. And Malcolm Brogdon was injured for most of the playoffs. He's just returned. Everybody else either struggles or is inconsistent. The one other player that is a good three-point shooter that hits him pretty well is Brook Lopez. In the playoffs, you need to hit threes. Like you need to. In the NBA today, if they want any chance of beating the Raptors and the Warriors, they need to hit their threes. The one guy that needs to start stepping up and doing that is Brook Lopez, which I believe he can. I've seen this dude hit him like crazy. So if he can continue to do that, guys, oh my gosh, the Bucks could have a genuine chance at making the finals. And who knows when it depends about Kevin Durant, DeMarcus Cousins, and everything, but the Bucks can be really good, and that's going to depend on how well Brook Lopez shoots the three. At number 8, it is Rudy Gay. Now listen, I'm going to do the most unbiased thing ever and say that the Spurs should be in the conference finals right now. You're like, okay, Patrick, you're wrong. We should have beat the Nuggets and we would have beat the Blazers, in my opinion. But you know what? Let's talk about why I believe this. Because Rudy Gay, our third best player, sucked the entire series. I'm going to show you the stats, but I'm not going to tell you everything. 14 points per game, 3 assists, 7 rebounds, and 50% field goal percentage, which is pretty solid in the regular season. But in the playoffs, he goes 11 points per game, 2 assists, 7 rebounds, and 40% field goal percentage. The only reason it's 40% is because of that last game. In Game 7, he did really well. But the one game he decided to do really well The whole team sucked that game. So guess what? We lost Game 7 and we didn't make it to the second round. We should have though, because Rudy Gay throughout the series before the games of that was missing everything. Wide open floaters, easy buckets. He was doing so many fadeaway mid-ranges. The only thing he was hitting was threes and he wasn't shooting them enough. And he was super passive, and then when he was aggressive, he just messed up completely. Rudy Gay was doing so bad that I didn't understand, because I've seen him do so well. In the start of the season, he was really good. For being the third best player on our team, Derek White was playing so much better than him. Jakob Poeltl was playing better than him. Forbes was playing better than him. That's 3 players. You're playing like the 6th best player on the team in the playoffs, and Rudy Gay is an experienced veteran who's played in the playoffs before. I don't know, man. I don't know why he struggled so much, and I believe he's the reason we could have been in the conference finals, but he struggled so much, and breaks my heart. Now at number 7 on the list, I'm going to pick Donovan Mitchell. I was going to pick Rudy Gay, but you know what? It's more Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's stats in the regular season: 24 points per game, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 42% field goal percentage, while in the playoffs, he was getting 21 points per game, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, 32% field goal percentage. That's such a bad field goal percentage. Listen, 43% isn't very good in the first place, but 32%, that's Russell Westbrook numbers. Listen, I get that you're scoring well, you're getting 21 points per game, which is like pretty good in the playoffs, but dude, when you're shooting 32%, that's so bad, it's canceling out how well you're doing. You're not helping your team out as much as you should. Your assist numbers went down when you're one of the primary ball handlers. That can't happen in the playoffs. I know that Donovan Mitchell is young, but he did so good last season. This season is nothing compared to the season before. I think he needs to learn how to just relax and play the game correctly. I like him as a player. I actually really do believe he's going to be one of the better players in the NBA soon. I believe he could be. He has that potential. He's only 21, but dude, you gotta chill. Be patient. Do correct shots. Don't just chuck stuff, you know? I'm not going to say much about him because, to be honest, I don't watch too many Jazz games, but from what I can see number-wise and the couple games I watched, he just needs to relax a little bit, figure out a game that works perfectly, be efficient, and they could be a pretty good team. I know a lot of people think the Jazz are like one of the best teams in the NBA. I think they could be soon, but Donovan Mitchell does need to get better. At number 6, it is Kyrie, future Nick. Listen, I could have put him higher on this list, but let me explain why I didn't. So, he is a 92 overall on NBA 2K19. That's one of the best point guard ratings in the game. In the regular season, he's getting 24 points per game, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 49% field goal percentage. This is Kyrie Irving numbers. But in the playoffs, 21 points per game, 7 assists, 4 rebounds, and 39% field goal percentage. 10% less field goal percentage, less scoring. This is not too different from what Donovan Mitchell was doing. He was shooting really bad shots throughout the entire series, missing a lot of them. You could tell the chemistry just wasn't there for this team. There were times I watched Kyrie Irving play and I was like, dude, I don't even think he wants to play for this team. Like, he seems so uninterested sometimes. You watch Kyrie Irving play and you know him to be in this baller who gets crazy buckets. Uncle Drew, like, we know how he plays. But in the playoffs this year, especially in that second round, he just vanished. It was weird. It was like he didn't care anymore. And you saw that when he walked away before the game even ended. He just walked straight to the locker room. I mean, this dude's gone. He doesn't want to play for this team. It's been made pretty dang clear. But geez, man, I mean, the field goal percentage went so low. The efficiency went down. We know it can be so much better. I don't know what happened, man. He wanted to be the best player on his team, and he wanted to prove a point, and this is going to be remembered as Kyrie Irving wasn't able to be that guy, and it's kind of sad. Now we're at the top 5 on this list with Joel Embiid, the best player on the 76ers, a 93 overall on NBA 2K19. In the regular season, getting 28 points per game, 4 assists, 14 rebounds, and a 48% field goal percentage. Great numbers by center, and one of the best defenders in the NBA. In the playoffs, 20 points per game, 3 assists, 11 rebounds, 43% field goal percentage. Everybody was getting on this dude for the playoffs. We need you to play better. We need you to be more aggressive. We need you to be that main guy. In Game 7 against the Raptors, there was a moment in the last 5 minutes of the game where the Sixers got scared and they didn't know how to score and win. They didn't know what they wanted to do. You need to be aggressive in those moments. I get that they're young and they're learning, and this is one of their first times being in the situation, but Joel Embiid needs to start taking that ball, posting on Marc Gasol and forcing it in and trying to be that best player. He has the potential to be so great in this league, and he needs to show it. He has that dog in him, but it didn't come out in the clutch, and that's a problem. He did not play like a 93 overall. His efficiency went down. He did have good defenders on him. You had Jared Allen, who's good, who was defending him. You also had Marc Gasol, who I believe is a Defense Player of the Year once. I believe. I have to check that. Two pretty solid defenders guarding you for the whole series. So I get that it's harder, but you still gotta be that guy. So I'm a little sad about it, and that's why I had him at number 5. At number 4, it is Andre Drummond for the Pistons, tied for the best player on the Pistons with an 87 overall, with Blake Griffin with also an 87 overall. I want to talk a lot about Andre Drummond. So his stats for the regular season: 17 points per game, 1 assist, 16 rebounds on 53% field goal percentage. But in the playoffs, 14 points per game, 2 assists, 13 rebounds, 44% field goal percentage. No one expected them to win. They're playing the Bucks, okay, who was the best team in the East at the time. And they were missing Blake Griffin for like most of the playoffs. So like, okay, whatever. No one's expecting y'all to win. But dude, you can't disappear. The best player on the team by far cannot just vanish. The Pistons have arguably the worst starting 5 in the playoffs this year. Or had. They're gone now, but still. Because Blake Griffin was injured. Without Blake Griffin, you have Andre Drummond and Reggie Jackson sometimes, and that's your team, to be honest. I know Luke Kennard did really good in this playoff series, but still, Andre Drummond has to be that guy. When you're only getting 14 points per game, dude, someone has to score, and that's gotta be you. They should have posted up every possession Andre Drummond and then let Reggie Jackson kind of do some threes and make that work. It didn't happen. Like, they didn't utilize them. Also, you need to dominate the rebounds. I know you're getting 13 a game, and that's good, but you were getting 16 a game in the regular season. You should be able to continue to do that. Your field goal percentage went down ridiculously. I said all season, Blake Griffin is the best player on this team. I said that so many times, and 2K continue to give him the same rating. But when Blake Griffin played one game, he did so much better in that one game than Andre Drummond did the entire series. That's a problem. Blake Griffin's a better player, even injured. That's crazy, and that's why Andre Drummond might be overrated, at least during the playoffs. At number 3, it is Clint Capela. Now, you're kind of seeing a theme here. It's a lot of centers, but let me explain Clint Capela, because this one's a little weird. 17 points per game in the regular season with 1 assist and 13 rebounds on 65% field goal percentage, but then in the playoffs was getting only 10 points per game, 2 assists, 10 rebounds, and 56% field goal percentage. So even though his field goal percentage went down, it was still pretty good. But 7 points per game less than usual is a lot. And there's actually a reason I believe why this happens. The Rockets during the playoffs love to shoot threes, and that's it. They focus their entire offense on hitting threes and hitting threes and hitting threes, that they ignore their centers and power forwards. Kenneth Marina was doing great in the regular season, and he didn't do anything in the playoffs at all because he doesn't shoot threes. The same thing goes for Clint Capela, but when you're the 3rd best player on the team, you gotta be used, man. They weren't attacking the basket with Clint Capela enough. He wasn't posting up enough. He wasn't given his opportunities because they just kept shooting threes and relying on James Harden and Chris Paul to hit those shots, and Eric Gordon sometimes too. It made Clint Capela sometimes just look invisible, and that's not great. I know he plays good defense, I agree with that, but still, he should have been used more. Oh man, here we go. Now with the Pacers at number 2, and this one hurts me. We're now on Domantas Sabonis. Dude, regular season, 14 points per game, 3 assists, 9 rebounds on 60% field goal percentage. But in the playoffs, 9 points per game, 2 assists, 6 rebounds on 41% field goal percentage. 20% less than the regular season. That's a lot. If you guys remember, first of all, to address something, Victor Oladipo was the best player on the team, but he was injured, so he never got to play for most of the season and playoffs. However, I said for a big part of the season, and 2K agreed, Domantas Sabonis was the best player on the Pacers for most of the season. He just was. And he was coming off the bench. That 60% field goal percentage, the way he's been playing is like ridiculous. Like, that's just stupid field goal percentage. He was on fire all season, and I still believe he can be a great player in this league, but you can vanish like that in the playoffs. I know Bojan Bogdanovic started to like turn up the heat throughout the season and started looking like the better player, the best player on the team. He probably is, and he was in the playoffs for the Pacers, but dude, Sabonis, you just can't do that well in the regular season and then vanish like that. That's such a big difference. That's super bad for your team, and it doesn't look good for Domantas Sabonis there. I lost a little trust in him. My boy. But none of these are more disgraceful than number 1, Nikola Vucevic. What the heck, man? 88 overall on NBA 2K19. But look at his stats. In the regular season, 21 points per game, 4 assists, 12 rebounds, 52% field goal percentage. But in the playoffs, 11 points per game, 3 assists, 8 rebounds, 36% field goal percentage. What in the world is that? You're an all-star. You were an actual all-star. You were the only really good player on your team. You should be the guy taking the ball up most of the time, posting up, doing your game, and eating the whole playoffs. It should have been revolved around you. Like, the centers really struggled this playoffs, but this is like different level, man. This might be the worst performance by the best player on a team as an all-star ever, like in the playoffs. This might be like a record because that's so bad. How do you get 26% field goal percentage less? That's ridiculous. This was so bad that I don't think he could ever be an all-star again. Like, do you give him the all-star award anymore if you know he's going to be doing that in the playoffs? That was the first time the Magic made the playoffs since Dwight Howard, and that's what you did? Come on, dude. But that's it for this video, you guys. Do you agree with me or disagree? Leave it in the comments below. And if you like my channel, give it a sub. And I'll see you guys next time.
I think I got my swagger back.